Yeah, ours is pretty much.
All right. Yeah. Good evening. Since it's 6 o'clock, I'll call the Charter Township of Comstock Planning Commission meeting to order. If you would please join me in pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Kyle or Casey, do we have any changes?
None.
Okay. Then I would look for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the agenda for the December 11th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
Support.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. November 13, 2025.
I have an amendment to the minutes that was brought to my attention today by a resident. On page 6 of your packet, page 3 of the minutes, on line 34, we discuss written comments submitted for the rezoning. A Matthew Moravec was also mentioned against the rezoning, and he would like his name and stance listed as well.
Okay. Any other changes?
I move to approve the minutes for November 13th Planning Commission meeting as amended.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is the approval of the minutes from November 20th, 2025. Any changes or adjustments?
I make a motion to approve the November 2025 Planning Commission minutes.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is citizen comment. A citizen may state their name and address and may speak only one time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor and no other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you will be making statements to the board without discussion from the board members, but you are welcome to make an appointment with planning and zoning staff to discuss your comments further. Please keep comments clean and respectful.
Hi, my name is William Knight. I'm a resident and a community advocate. I want to just start off by saying I'm not really familiar with the whole Redwood situation that's on the agenda. I've honestly been too busy to keep up with it. I do want to commend this board for everything they did do working on the battery energy storage system ordinance, and now it's going to be going for its second approval reading on Monday, which is great. excellent work. On that note, on May 19th, the main board decided to try to end the moratorium early, not letting you guys finish the work that needed to be done, that protected our citizens, that held our students and our children at the utmost care. They didn't want to do that. They decided to end the moratorium early. And I don't want to steal the thunder of the Redwood thing tonight, but I do want to say that I am the recall sponsor for 4 petitions recalling Clerk Beauchamp, Trustee Amos, or Trustee Pratt, Trustee MacGyver, and Trustee Cherry for their vote to end the moratorium early, not putting our citizens and our students' lives above a vote, and not allowing you guys to do the time. So if anybody would like to sign, I will be here after this meeting for anybody that would like to sign my petition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jessica Vetter. I live at 6869 East H Avenue. I just want to clarify a few things from the last time that I spoke with you, and maybe a little bit in between there. So when we moved in 2018 into our beautiful property that we enjoy so much, that is surrounded by the Brills' lovely property as well, we did notice that there was lots of neighbors that seemed to enjoy all of the property back there, because the people that lived there before us also didn't really seem to do very much with it, but we wanted to. So we started putting trails back there and planting fruit trees and things like that, and did notice some people riding through, and some of our things started to get a little bit messed up, so we put up some no trespassing signs. We did a full walk of our property. We use our property about 10, 11 months out of the year. I was actually back there chasing a dog today, knee-high in snow. It was really fun. And I had never seen a single no trespassing sign before ours. And once we put ours up, when you know, nobody showed up on our property. Haven't called the police on anybody, or been nervous about anything since 2018 when we moved in, thanks to those no trespassing signs. I did notice some no trespassing signs went up, I believe it was November 21st. And I haven't noticed anybody back on their property either, but that's not my property. I wouldn't know anything about it. I do, again, it was the first thing I said last time. I'm going to clarify, really encourage the building of some homes on that property. It would be really nice to see some families be able to move into some homes and invest in properties in our community back there. I think it would be really lovely. I just don't want condominiums back there. That was my point, to clarify. I do look forward to the development back there of something, and I knew that that was going to happen. We bought the home knowing that it was single, zoned for single family and what could be put there. Always knew that, always looked forward to it, never had a problem with it, and we never ever have encouraged anybody to use property that is not our property. Plenty of neighbors use our property for hunting. They have blinds on our property or ride their ATVs back there with permission. So I just wanted to clarify those couple of things right there. So thank you, and look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you.
John Dickman, Township President. At the last Planning Commission meeting where we discussed the Redwood proposal, I made some claims that there was possibly a Kalamazoo City dump site back there. I've been trying to get the documentation to back that claim up. I looked at that property in the early 2000s when we were considering a move back to Comstock. I wanted 10 acres for a house, barn, couple horses. long story made short, I wasn't able to secure the property. A person that my wife happened to work with at the time thought he might be interested in the property. He walked it, and he noticed construction debris scattered about in there. He's got a friend that's an environmental engineer. He looked at the property, and he's the one that indicated that it had previously been a Kalamazoo City dump. And he warned us that you don't know what's buried there. He was pretty sure it was at least going to be asbestos. Well, like I said, I've been trying to back those claims up with documentation. I'm still working on it. I was going to go down to the county today, but I just never made it down there. Anyways, my point is, irregardless who owns the property when a shovel touches the dirt, whether it's the current owners or whether it would have been me at one point or whether it's Redwood, anything that would happen to be buried back there, you own it. And when I did the quick math, I came up with about 7 million cubic feet of possibly contaminated dirt back there. Well, the reason I stand here and I say this is, not only do I think it would be unwise to put multifamily housing on that 20 acres, I think it would also be unwise for anybody to do anything back there without somebody going back in there, like maybe an engineer from the township or even the county or the city, and checking that out to make sure that's okay. So I guess from there, it flows wherever it flows, and what happens, happens. But that's just my thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Leslie Johnson, and I live on Country Meadows Drive. And I'm here tonight to address the recent letters submitted by Redwood, Mrs. Brill, and Mrs. Lomax regarding their rezoning request. I want to be very clear, those letters dismiss the legitimate concerns raised by residents at the November meeting, and they do not accurately reflect the reality of this proposal or its impact on the community. Redwood repeatedly claims their development fits the master plan, yet the plan's compact residential designation focuses on single-family homes, on small lots and duplexes. It does not describe a 130-unit rental complex run by a corporation. Calling it compatible simply because multifamily is listed as an allowable category ignores context, existing land use, and the pattern of development this area is meant to preserve. Redwood also suggests their buildings look like single-family homes, but appearance is not the issue, function is. This is a high-density rental cluster with shared internal roads, heavy traffic patterns, and corporate management. It does not resemble the long-term owner-occupied neighborhoods that surround it. The hypothetical development of 60 to 88 single-family homes under current zoning is a theoretical maximum. And even if it was built, individually owned homes generate a very different impact than a concentrated rental complex. Bottom line, Redwood frames their management model as a long-term benefit. But corporate promises are not legally binding. Once the land is rezoned, the township loses leverage and the community lives with the consequences. Finally, I want to address the assertion that the concerns raised by the residents at the November 13 meeting were merely emotional or uninformed. That simply is not true. The record shows that residents provided specific, fact-based testimony about traffic congestion, emergency response limitations, school capacity, and the incompatibility of a high-density rental complex with existing single-family homes. These were not emotional reactions. They were thoughtful, grounded observations from people who live, drive, and raise families here every day. It is inappropriate and unfair of the property owners seeking a zoning change to dismiss an entire community's testimony simply because it did not support their preferred outcome. This planning commission already recognized that this parcel is not the right fit for this scale of development. The overwhelming public input supported that conclusion. Please stand with the residents tonight and uphold the original recommendation to deny rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jamie Nichols. I live at 3499 North 28th Street. And just for the record, I also submitted a document last time at the November meeting, and I hope that was distributed. But I wanted to tell you that I'm a little sympathetic with you because you have the unenviable position of listening to people on both sides of an argument who are all residents, and there are lots of impassioned pleas that often get made. But I wanted to tell you that I was really pleased at the last meeting to hear that each one of you to a person was generally inclined away from granting the rezoning request. I think that if we examine the question as unbiased and as reasonable and calmly as possible, we would see that there is real legitimate reason to pause. And that legitimate reason is, as been referenced already, is the inadequate investigation that has been done for environmental impact, not just perhaps what has been mentioned already tonight with what might be buried there if it was a city dump, which is an if, but the fact that there's a Kalamazoo water well just to the east, and I don't know if that's been actually looked into. The impact of the traffic, people have talked about it. My own document last time speculated based on the National Association of Traffic Engineers that there would be an awful lot of traffic that if it's dumping out on 28th Street could create enormous hazards given the hills and the blind driveways that are there. So a lot of people have given passionate, heartfelt, very sincere, very earnest, but the real examination I don't think has been done. So it would be a real unfortunate thing for us if we were to ever press ahead in something that seemed like a good idea without having really done our homework. The unintended consequences of these kinds of things can come back to haunt us, and as one of my neighbors just said, once it's rezoned, it's hard to hit reverse on those things. So I was encouraged by your disinterest in granting or recommending the request. I was encouraged last month. I hope that you still are just as disinterested, and I hope that any consideration you're given, if you're considering changing your opinion, I hope it's driven not at all by passion, but just on reasonable consideration of what's good for the township, what's good for that part of the gateway into the township, and the way that it fits into the overall character of the existing neighborhood that's already built out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tom Kopertz, and I'm speaking on behalf of Lauren Lomax, who is the granddaughter of the property owner. I live in Richland. I don't know if you need my address or hers. Okay. Can I reclaim that time for clarification, or? Okay, anyways, she states, I have spent countless hours researching the issues thoroughly, even speaking with some of the neighbors to try to understand why they are so against this rezoning. From what I have shaped, my position is based on facts, not assumptions or fears. The vast majority of the neighbors are focused on preserving green space that respectfully does not belong to them. I, on the other hand, am deeply concerned that this board may be unintentionally prioritizing the voices of a small but vocal group while significantly underestimating the perspectives of the broader community of Comstock Township. Close to 50% of the people who spoke at the last meeting came from 5 or 6 houses. This decision affects far more people than the handful who have spoken the loudest, and I urge the board to consider the full picture, the factual evidence, and the long-term good of the township as a whole. The 20 acres on H Avenue and 28th Street are an ideal location for new housing. The master plan calls for increasing housing options, including duplexes, ADUs, and the multi-unit development designated for seniors, professionals, and families who do not need large family homes. Redwood Communities uniquely fits this need and have strong track record of attracting responsible residents, many of whom are older adults or people relocating to be near family. We heard concerns at the last meeting about traffic, safety, schools, and utilities. These concerns are understandable, but they are not supported by the data. Other nearby Redwood neighborhoods have shown very low traffic generation, minimal strains on schools, and far fewer public safety calls than traditional subdivisions. These fears arise in almost every community facing new developments, but they are rarely materializing. It's also important to acknowledge that a small number of adjacent residents have become accustomed to using the privately owned land as if it were public property. While their attachment is understandable, private use of another person's land cannot be the basis for denying a rezoning that aligns with township plans, goals, and addresses real community needs. Kalamazoo County is facing a significant housing shortage, and responsible use and development of land is part of that solution. Redwood is willing to work with the township and the community. This would also be generating around $560,000 annually in taxes for the community and would not receive a homestead property exemption, whereas single-family homeowners would seek that exemption and would cut into operating school tax revenues. The question now is whether we seize the opportunity for thorough managed growth, or whether we allow a small group of neighbors to set a dangerous precedent that prevents needed housing and long-term planning. I respectfully ask the board to consider all the facts and opinions carefully and support a solution that benefits the entire township.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jenna Vickel, and I live on Buckskin Road. After reviewing Redwood's revised proposal, as well as letters submitted by the Brill and Lomax family, I wanted to share several concerns on behalf of myself and my neighbors. Redwood's proposal claims that residents in their Comstock community have given positive feedback. Redwood also states that they take pride in their maintenance, landscaping, and overall neighborhood safety. However, when I researched their current properties, I found reviews that raised serious questions. These reviews mentioned poor management, unresolved maintenance issues, a resident reporting a serious fall, flooding caused by malfunction appliances, and people being locked out of their homes when garage doors lost property only to wait over 3 hours for maintenance to arrive. There were also complaints about inadequate groundskeeping, including delays in clearing sidewalks, driveways, and streets, which I have attached to the back of these papers. These issues are concerning because they reflect the level of the oversight we could realistically expect if a Redwood development were built next to our homes. Another major concern is the neighborhood stability. Multifamily rental units naturally have higher turnover. Renters can move in and out quickly, which can affect the cohesion and long-term value of a community. Homeowners, on the other hand, invest in their properties, take pride in their land, and contribute to the character of the neighborhood. Management quality can also fluctuate in rental communities. One manager may be excellent while the next may not. With single-family homes, that uncertainty simply isn't the same. I'd also like to address the inaccuracies mentioned in the family letters. It was stated that no trespassing signs were repeatedly placed on the property and repeatedly removed by neighbors. Since purchasing our home in December of 2021, we have never seen any no trespassing signs until November 26th of this year. Since then, none have been removed, and I have not witnessed anyone entering the property. Neighbors who have lived in the area for many years confirm the same. There were no signs prior to November 26th. We fully understand that the land does not belong to us and that it will eventually be developed. The concern we are raising is what type of development is appropriate and consistent with our existing neighborhood. We are simply asking that this land remain zoned for single-family homes, which align with the character, stability, and long-term value of our community. For these reasons, I respectfully ask that you do not rezone this property to allow multifamily housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy.
Good evening. I'm Nicole Brill, and I'm reading this on behalf of Chris Lomax. Thank you for your time this evening. I'm speaking in strong support of the Redwood rezoning application for 6787 East H Avenue. This development represents a significant economic and community benefit. Redwood will generate over $560,000 every year in tax revenue, a meaningful and recurring contribution that will support services infrastructure, and long-term health of Comstock Township. Importantly, this proposal aligns directly with the Comstock Township Master Plan. The site is already zoned for 60 to 88 single-family homes. If developed that way, we would see a wide range of builders, qualities, and home sizes, and likely a patchwork of styles and standards. Those homes would not offer a consistent quality, single-level design or 1 to 2 bedroom that Redwood provides, nor would they serve residents with the option, sorry, I lost my place, that Redwood provides, nor would they serve residents with an average age of 51 looking for accessible, low-maintenance living. Unlike those alternatives, Redwood communities are built, managed, and maintained by the same company, ensuring long-term accountability and quality. Redwood's track record, over 20,000 units nationwide, include 3 successful communities in our surrounding area, shows they know how to deliver well-maintained, community-minded neighborhoods that become real assets to the township they join. I understand that some of the surrounding neighbors are concerned about losing the use and beautiful view of my mother's property, but we must balance personal preference with the broader needs of the community. This project will bring much-needed housing, stability, and resources to Comstock. My father's dream was always to see this land developed in a way that many families could enjoy, not just a select few who happen to border it. Today, we have a chance to honor that vision while also advancing Redwood's vision and the vision laid out in our township's own master plan. This is a win-win opportunity for progress, growth, and for the future of Comstock Township. I urge you to seize it and welcome Redwood into this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
My name is John Brill, and I'm reading for my mother, Josie Brill, who's been a Comstock Township resident since 1967. She's 84 years old, and in all these decades, one thing has remained true. This community matters deeply to her. My late husband and I cared for this land with our own hands. We planted trees, hauled gallon jugs of water in the back of our old car, and tended every corner of it with love. His dream, our dream, was that one day this property would become a place many families could enjoy and call home. Not just a handful of people, but a true neighborhood where others could build memories just as we did. I've had the opportunity to visit several Redwood communities, and I've been truly impressed by what I saw. Their neighborhoods are clean, beautifully landscaped, thoughtfully maintained, and designed for comfort, accessibility, and real community. These are places people are proud to live in. I understand that some of my neighbors have grown accustomed to using the property as though it were a public park. I know change can feel uncomfortable, but this property has always been privately owned, and I believe strongly that property rights should be respected. It's time for this land to fulfill the purpose my husband and I long envisioned, a place where many families, not just a few, can enjoy its beauty and take pride in living there. Redwood is an outstanding company. We have an opportunity to work with them to create something that will benefit all of Comstock Township. This development will generate over $500,000 in taxes every year, supporting schools, services, and our community as a whole. While right now, only a few select people enjoy the land as I continue to pay the taxes on it. I hope you'll join me in supporting this rezoning. Let's honor the past, respect property rights, and embrace the future that welcomes new families and strengthens Comstock for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I received 2 written comments, one from Sean McNamara in support of the rezone, and one from Mark Chupan in support of the rezone as well.
Yes, I think everybody's seen them.
Yes.
Thank you, Casey. If there are no other comments, I will close public comment and turn it over to Casey or Kyle. Who wants to take it?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So first, I would like just to draw attention to the township's master plan. There has been a lot of questions and concerns raised by the residents and general public on this. I am looking at page 32 of this. It is the zoning plan as part of our adopted master plan. And it talks about the future land use designation of compact residential, and that it discusses primary compatible zoning districts being R1B, R1C, which are both single family, and multiple family. I'm not advocating one way or the other. I'm just indicating what the master plan that has been adopted by the township states as compact residential. In addition to that, I know the supporting documentation from Redwood does outline other portions of the master plan, as well as addresses a lot of the concerns raised by the residents and those speaking last month. So if the chair is inclined, I believe it would be a benefit to request Redwood go through their response to help address the concerns that have been brought forth.
Yes, somebody, can you go through your plan?
Sure.
Revisions and so forth?
Yes. Hello, good evening again. My name is Emily Engelhart. I'm with Redwood Apartment Neighborhoods. I don't know if we could start on the letter. Looks like the traffic study. I do have someone here who can speak to the traffic study in detail because I know there was a lot of data there. But I'll start just by reiterating that a brief bit of history. We have a very successful development in Comstock Township that we've just completed, and that success, the demand that we've seen in the market for exactly what we do was there. So I was tasked with, seeing if we could find another space in the township to do another development. So this opportunity did come to us, and when we do get these opportunities, we look at not only the zoning plan, the township's master plan need. We look at a lot of different factors, and that's why we landed on this site. We had some meetings and wanted to create an application that we felt would hopefully be able to be supported by the Planning Commission, the Township Board, the Township, and the residents. Obviously, we can't change who we are or what we do. We build our single-story, primarily 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, primarily apartment neighborhoods. But we are very proud of what we do, and we feel that it is a lot different than a typical apartment complex development. And that's why we applied with a conditional rezoning. We understood that we're not an exact fit with, another single family neighborhood, but we tried to write conditions to our rezoning so that the township would know that if this was approved, you would be getting a Redwood development, low density for apartments, primarily single story, primarily compatible in terms of layout, things like that. And I would like to highlight that one of the conditions that we offered is that Redwood purchases the property. So if we go through this rezoning and it is granted, and somewhere down the line, we don't get a approval from the Drain Commission or the Road Commission, or the site plan isn't approved, we're not going to buy the property if we can't build our development, and thus the site would revert back to its original zoning. So we did try to provide some protections to the township that, we want to build a Redwood here, and that's what we're trying to give you. So I just wanted to overall highlight that. Again, I know you probably have all read the letter. It's probably a little extensive, but generally, we went through that process. We looked at the master plan, the Vision 2030, and kind of the changing needs of housing, not only here in Comstock Township, in Kalamazoo County, but that we're seeing across the nation. There's a need for housing. We're short. I think it came up with the Federal Reserve today that there's just so much housing that needs to be created, and we need to think about it a little bit differently. And that's why Redwood has been so successful. We've been able to create a different option for people who might not want to buy a single family house. They want to have some flexibility. They want to maybe not have the maintenance. They want to be a snowbird. Whatever the reason, they're not ready for assisted living. They want the equity out of their home. So we found a lot of success. We felt that we fit in with that master plan, the density of the compact residential, I think from 3 to 8 units per acre. And So that's how we landed here. Again, the conditions that we offered originally, we looked at after the meeting and after hearing both the comments from commissioners as well as residents, and tried to strengthen our application as much as possible. Like I said, we can't change who we are, but we're trying to provide a strong application. So what we looked at, and we can go back again, but what our 3 additional conditions are would be to lower our density restriction. We had listed it at 6.5 units per acre, and we are now saying we would limit it to 5.9 units per acre, which fits even more in the middle of that compact residential density. Again, this is not a site plan approval. We don't have a site plan that we're showing, but that is what we would comfortable keeping at a maximum. The setback commitment is just looking at the setbacks for multifamily and single family when evaluating the site. You know, R1A does have a larger setback, especially in the rear yards, than multiple family. And again, while this is not site plan, we wanted to increase setback minimums from the property lines so that there can be more green space. There can be, you know, what you might see with a traditional single-family development, you would see similar setbacks provided. And again, we could exceed those setbacks, but we wanted to set a minimum that we would be comfortable designing to. And then number 3, this came up a lot at the meeting, that there was concern that we would be connecting somehow to one of the single-family neighborhoods adjacent. And we are not planning that, and we are very comfortable offering a condition that we would not propose any roadway connection directly into single-family. Our entrances would be from the main public roads. So those are the 3 conditions additionally that we had offered, just further limiting our development. And then if you don't mind scrolling back up, I'll just kind of quickly go through this and then I'll hand it off for traffic. Yeah, so I think I kind of talked about the master plan portion and hit the density and setbacks. I know it was addressed by folks that, you know, the goal for the family who owns this property is to develop it someday. We did take a look at what zoning would allow currently, and with a short utility extension, and that, you know, could be up to 88 units. Again, that is the maximum, but in reality, any developer is going to try and maximize what they can do. I don't, you know, build single family homes, so I'm not sure what's realistically achievable, but we tried to show, you know, what might happen there and why we feel that we're not that much different from a single family home. You know, I think we're asking for just over a unit an acre in density, or a unit and a half an acre in density from, you know, a single family home development. I guess if you want to go down, this document just illustrates setbacks. The red one shows what a multiple family setback would be required. The blue is what the R1A setback would be required against all the property lines. Again, this is if there was individual lots, there would be interior setbacks, but against the exterior property lines. And then the green is kind of where conceptually we have our building set. So our goal is to set them back even further, but our commitment would be to maintain those blue lines on this site. And then I just want to note on the north, I guess at the north side, the west side, on this map on the top, there is a large ITC corridor and a corresponding easement, which does provide a good bit of space beyond just the property lines from a setback. And then on the true north side, there is a very nice stand of trees that does go along the northern property line that we would be able to maintain within that setback. So, I mean, it would be our goal for development to maintain as much natural landscaping and complement it with our own landscaping to create privacy for not only the residents next door, but for our residents. I just attached a snippet here, and then I think I attached the entire landscaping plan for our development on Gull Road, because that is against single family. Our goal is to meet the ordinance or meet our own development standards, whichever is more lush. And I'll come back at the end, but I will let Ian speak about traffic, because we did provide some traffic information that I think is important to discuss.
Yes, so as Emily had mentioned, the site is zoned R1A, and the maximum amount of single-family units that we've seen is 88 units. So what the ITE manual says, which tells you basically how many trips per day a use will generate, a single-family home is just shy of 11 trips per unit, where Redwood has extensive traffic studies dating back to, I don't know, 15 years. And they've done studies on their existing neighborhoods to see what the traffic looks like. And those are at 5.9 trips, so it's half of a single-family house. And that's due to primarily being single-story, two-bedroom units, the demographic of who lives at a Redwood. So you see less traffic than you would in a single-family neighborhood. One thing I can say is, based off of our current unit count, it will not meet the threshold for requiring a traffic study, which is 50 directional peak hour trips. So based on unit count alone, we're not even going to warrant a full traffic study. That being said, traffic is all a site plan issue that we will have to submit plans to Kalamazoo County Road Commission. If they require a center turn lane, a right turn lane, or raising, lowering the road, we have to do that. So in my mind, that is a benefit. There's going to be less traffic than if this site was developed, single family. And, you know, if there's an improvement that can be made to the road now, we'll be required to do that.
Oops. Thank you, Ian. Yeah, so we just tried to provide some information about, you know, how our neighborhoods move based on the substantial amount of data that we have from our portfolio. If you could scroll down. We did go through the housing goals. It was interesting that the Upjohn Institute was here just before us discussing Kalamazoo and their goals with Comstock Township to look at how the housing plan can be met, that there's a shortage of 8,000 units in the county. I think that was revised up with the Blue Oval plan, but it does feel like our application in our neighborhood is a fit to solve some of these goals. You know, while it's not a perfect fit to manage everything, it does help, and we feel that, you know, this application will help both Comstock Township and the county meet some of its housing goals. We've seen the need in our other neighborhood. We've seen a demand for this. One thing that our neighborhoods do is allow for housing filtration to occur. So, you know, folks who are maybe in a single family home who want to stay in the township but don't have anywhere to go, they can sell their home and live with Redwood if they'd like, and a new family can move in. I know there's been a lot of situations where people don't want to leave their home for whatever reason, or they want to build a new home and there's not somewhere for them to go. And Redwood has seen many, many different kinds of residents, but a lot of times we see that or bringing aging parents back to the area, a number of different things. I mean, certainly we don't age restrict, as I mentioned in my last presentation, but we do find that our units are attractive to seniors, which is a need, attractive to empty nesters, attractive to folks who want peace and quiet. They don't want a pool, they don't want a community center, something like that. They just want a home that maybe they pay for a little bit differently than a single family home. Let's see. And then I guess finally, community impact. I've kind of touched on this, and it was touched on. I looked at what the tax bills are for our other development just to estimate what it could generate on a 117 unit development, which is what we've got in concept. Again, we acknowledge that we have to go through the full site plan process. This evening and the Township Board meeting are really the first baby steps in a long process. There's a lot of data that needs to be dug through, but I will reiterate that we have done due diligence on this site. We've looked at our wetlands, we've looked at a geotech analysis, a full ALTA survey, and we have done a phase 1 environmental and did notice some of the construction debris, which I believe was from the building of the neighborhood to the west. And we did do some limited phase 2 investigations to make sure that that was not an issue. And we have a phase 2 analysis that we are comfortable moving forward with the site. We're not concerned about the environmental, any contamination on this project based on our due diligence. So we do look at all that before we, make a big investment in a community. And I guess that is sort of just the final thing I'd like to highlight is, while we are not a single family home owner, Redwood is a property owner. We have over 160 neighborhoods that we've owned, every one that we've ever built. We intend to be long-term landholders. We take a lot of pride in our neighborhoods. I think I showed a picture of one from 20 plus years ago. We're taxpayers. We, have to be able to maintain the rent amounts that we charge, and so we need to keep our neighborhood safe and comfortable and attractive and functioning well. We see people continuing to want to live with us and take a lot of pride in what we've created, and I feel that it's another neighborhood would be a great complement to Comstock Township. I think that it fits with the master plan, and that's why we're here this evening. I think that covers it, and I do appreciate you listening to all the information. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have questions? Amber?
It's always me first. I do have a couple questions.
Sure.
Do you happen, and some of these are just random things that I thought of, so if you are unprepared, don't have the answer, I completely understand.
Okay.
What's the average, rental lifespan that somebody, so not lease term, but somebody who comes in and leases, how often are they sticking around? Any idea?
So I had a statistic in my last presentation, which I don't know if is part of the public record. I know, I don't want to get the numbers wrong. I think 21% of our residents stay more than 5 years. And I think over half of our leases are renewed, but I don't want to, please don't hold me to that, but I can look that up for you on my computer in 1 minute.
Ballpark works. I was just curious because you're talking about being a landowner, right? But part of that is also how long somebody else stays, because you're sort of, I'll say pride in ownership, but pride in where you live often changes when you're there for longevity.
Sure.
I don't know that I have, I guess, I don't know that I have any more questions at this point.
Bob? Greg?
Nope.
Joseph?
No questions, no, thank you.
James?
No questions, thank you.
Guess we're good.
Okay. Thank you so much for all your consideration this evening.
Okay. At this point, we will open for discussion among us. James, you want to start us off?
I have revisited this site. I have relooked at all the material given to me. I have looked at the 2030 vision plan of the township and that, and I'm feeling very comfortable at this time with this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph?
First, I want to compliment the developer on the quality of their presentation and their plan. This is an excellent example of how to put a project together and present it. But that said, I said at the last time we considered this, and I still feel the same way, that although this is an excellent project and I would like to see it in the township, I don't feel that this proposed site is the right place for it.
Thank you, Joseph. Greg?
I too appreciate the packet that was given to us. Man, it was very thorough. It answered a lot of questions, and the presentation tonight also answered a lot of questions that I had written down before I came, and also exploring and talking with other members here who have visited the communities, also answered more questions. So thank you again.
I stated the last meeting that in my heart, I did not feel this was the right place for it, and that was a personal thing. It really was. When Woodley went in, everybody on H Avenue was mad because they were taking their view away from the farmland. When Enola went in, everybody on Plainfield was mad because they were taking their view away. I was mad because they took our little ballparks away and everything else. Then they put a fire department down on the corner of 26th and H, and all the citizens were mad because they were taking that away. Now they got a 40-foot cell tower there and a bigger fire station. They put a school in down on the other 26th and H Avenue. Then they brought Myers in. So I've seen all of this get developed, all of these years and whatnot. The sheltering of where they're proposing this, I think there's enough room out around it. Now, I drove up to Redwood today at 4 o'clock. I went through there at 4:30. I went there at 5 o'clock. I had one car behind me at 4 o'clock. I didn't see anybody the second trip through, and I had two when I went through the last time. So I didn't think of traffic was a thing. I've seen a lot of nice cars sitting in driveways. They weren't covered with snow. Every road was clean. Every road was spotless. Every driveway was clean, and every sidewalk was clean. Then I went down through Country Meadows, and down Enola, and down Durango, and down Ramada, and up Woodley. Every road there was like, if I had a cup of coffee, I probably wouldn't be here right now. So, you know, they're maintaining their roads. Kalamazoo County is not retaining the roads to the other. And I think it meets criteria for the master plan. It meets the housing criteria. Like I say, in my heart, I felt it was wrong. John, I've been 70 years up there, never knew of a dump being back there. We covered every inch of that place when we were kids. Construction debris from construction people building houses back there, burning their stuff and throwing it wherever they could. Yeah, I could see that. But I've watched that whole area get developed. We have parks around the neighborhood, McLendon, Campbell Lake, whatnot. With the housing needs, the 2030 plan, I have to accept this. Amber.
I think this is a really tough one. I read through all of the information. I think you did a nice job of recognizing community concerns and trying to offer some additional comfort. I think that, you know, it's interesting. I think the patchwork that you kind of acknowledged about single family homes is part of the character of a neighborhood too, though. And I think that, you know, in some people's minds, that's part of the challenge of a development like Redwood is while you use different colors and they do look very single family home, they still don't have some of the same character. And I think that's just hard for people to wrap their head around, right? Like it just looks different. I think, you know, when I thought about the Upjohn Institute, I thought about the need for affordable housing. And I don't know that I would call this affordable. In fact, you acknowledge in your letter that it's, you know, renters by choice, right? And I did some quick math and, you know, a single family, for somebody paying this rent, you could purchase a $300,000 single family home. And when you look at, you know, there's currently 28, yesterday's Zillow search, okay, 28 single family homes under $300,000 available for sale in Comstock now. And those are a little bit larger, some comparable to what would be offered, certainly with larger space, larger lot space. So I recognize that there's a balance, right? Some people don't want lots, they don't want to have to remove snow, and some people do. Gosh, it's just tough because I think that there's a lot that is beneficial and I certainly see the value. And I also see the desire for it to be single-family homes. And that is what the future land use was designed for, right? Smaller lots, condensed, but single-family homes. So in all transparency, I think it's just it's a tough one. Like I'm still conflicted, if I'm honest.
Thank you, Amber. Well, I think given the master plan and where we're supposed to go long-term, it does meet a lot of the criteria that we need to do. Is it going to affect the neighborhood? I'm not so sure. I live in that neighborhood, and there's a lot more houses in our neighborhood than in that, and the traffic coming out of that won't be as much as comes out of our neighborhood. So, I don't know. Go ahead, Bob.
And what we're here tonight, this is a conditional rezone. It's not a site plan. It's not a special use. We don't make the decision. The Township Board makes the decision.
Right.
So
we just recommend.
We recommend. And I was in on the first Redwood when they did it, and they're going to do it in 2 phases. And we figured, oh, they put one in, they'll never get the second one in. Well, the second one's in. That means people want to come in. People want to move here. People are going to pay that rent because they don't want to do maintenance. They don't want to mow their lawn. They don't want to. They got nice, shiny cement roads over there with no ice on them right now. So, but that's not what we're here for. We're here just to do a conditional rezone. And I think that's what we have to look at as a board.
Yes. With that, I guess we need to look at a motion.
Mr. Chair, is there further discussion?
Pardon?
Is there further discussion, or are you looking strictly for a motion?
Anybody have anything else to say?
No.
I guess then I'd look for a motion.
Really quick, Joseph, just curious, right? So we have to have our findings of fact. What is the fact that you, like, is there one that attached itself to you? Because I was looking, and I think it was the 5th one Kyle had called out, but I'm just curious what you saw. Anything?
Well, I'm not prepared to answer that.
That's okay. That's okay. I think I was looking at whether the uses allowed under the proposed rezoning would be equally or better suited to the area than uses allowed under the current zoning of the land.
And I have a problem with infrastructure in terms of the road capacity. I think a project like this needs to be on what I consider a thoroughfare, and these are country roads. And I think that's the 5th condition.
Yeah, I think one of the things I thought of is like, I'd almost rather it be like a planned unit development. That's an option that seems more applicable to that zone than apartments.
Well, the first issue you cited, the nature of the neighborhood or nature of the surroundings, that's exactly the difference. The apartments are not the same as single-family dwellings. They do not provide the same environment. So if I was making a motion in the negative, that's what I would cite.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to find that because I think that that's an important part for us to all discuss, right? We talked about the acknowledgement of all of the the pros and the cons, and a lot of that comes from gut or opinion, but we have to look at findings of fact. And so, we're tasked at figuring out whether the rezoning is consistent with the policies and uses proposed for the area in the township's master land use plan, whether the uses allowed under the proposed rezoning would be compatible with other zones and uses in the surrounding area, whether any public services and facilities would be significantly or adversely impacted, which I don't think that's an issue. Whether the uses under the proposed rezoning would be equally or better suited to the area than uses allowed under the current zoning of the land. And that's the one that I get hung up on, because I do think it changes the character of the area. I'm not sure that it's better suited, because I'm not sure the cost is as conducive to a compact residential housing, but I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've not seen compact residential housing in that space to know what those home costs would go for. Anyone have any idea? Jim? I don't know.
Well, I don't have exact figures on me for the home costs or whatever there, but as a developer, as a realtor and working at that, I mean, you're looking at $300 a square foot. It's going right now in the market, as I do draw inspections and all that too, and it's inching up to $350 a square foot. So that's my feeling.
That's helpful.
Mr. Chair, just to Amber's point on 4, Amber, you asked about whether the uses allowed under the proposed rezoning would be equally or better suited. Again, not advocating one way or the other, but because they are asking for a conditional rezoning, they are limiting what types of uses could be there. So I do want to call that out for discussion if the commission feels inclined. Again, not advocating one way or the other, just giving you the background.
Any other comments?
Well, that said, Kyle, I mean, the use is apartments. The conditions apply to, density and setbacks and stuff, but the use is, not home, single-family dwellings individually owned, but apartments.
True. However, as we looked at rezonings across the past year and a half, that has always been one of the conditions we've looked at is the uses for that district itself as a whole. In this one, Joe, as you indicated, they're asking for apartments or larger density housing instead of a whole slew of, it's in it's in the packet as well, of what could go there if it was just a straight rezoning. So it is limiting in that regard.
Can't argue for it.
Any other comments?
I just have one, but, they never did build any. There's one duplex on Woodley at the very beginning of the site, and there's a duplex on Ringling at the very other end of the site, kitty corner across from each other. I had never seen in all the days there that they put any other multifamily dwellings in there, but those were, the one on Woodley was one of the first ones to go in, the one on Ringling was in about the same time. So at one time there was probably options to put multifamily dwellings in that whole thing, but it never transpired, so.
Okay. So I guess we have to decide if it creates a different enough community to cause us not to do this. Do you have something, Joseph?
I was just going to do some research here, but no comment.
I'd still look for a motion.
Take it to the board.
Huh?
Take it to the board.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion, we move this to the township board and let them decide on it.
Support.
Recommendation is what? Can you rephrase the motion, the recommendation?
Yep. Make a recommendation to send it to the.
To approve or deny?
To approve, to
Okay.
township board.
So can you restate that one more time?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to recommend taking it to the township board for approval.
Perfect.
Support.
We'll do a roll call for this.
Yes.
Commissioner Kreitzer,
Yes.
Chair Nichols,
Yes.
Commissioner Weintraub,
No.
Commissioner Nowak,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawrence.
No.
Motion passes, 4 yeas, 2 nays.
Okay. Any other business? No. Okay. Again, we're going to open to citizen comment. A citizen may state their name and address and may speak only one time for no more than 3 minutes. The time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor and no other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you will be making statements to the board without discussion from the board members. But you are welcome to make an appointment with planning and zoning staff to discuss your comments further. Please keep comments clean and respectful.
Hi, my name is Jessica Vetter. You know where I live. I was prepared to come up here and say, I do agree that Redwood is very, very nice. Condominiums. I've been to several of the locations. I looked at the traffic study because I read the whole thing. None of those neighborhoods look like our neighborhood. None. To get up here and say that he does not want to do a traffic study when I live there and he wants to put a street directly next to my property where I already spend 10 minutes trying to pull out of my driveway infuriates me. And that we had so many of you agree with over 200 of us who all said, we do not want this. Just reminds me of a whole other situation we have of our whole community saying, we don't want this. And now the whole board is up for a call. So I think you need to do a little bit better of a job at listening to your constituents and not look at the obvious money grabs that are happening just so that you all could get more money. This city takes in like $1 billion worth of taxes. $500,000 is a drop in the bucket. And I am so disappointed that you did not listen to all of the people that packed this room, all of the people that sent in so many pleas that they don't want this. To say that it was just a group of neighbors when all of the people that had positive for this came from one family who has vested interest and will make a lot of money from the property, which I'm very happy for them. But they don't live there. They never have lived there. It's just so absolutely disheartening and makes me so glad that I've gotten so involved in these last few months in local politics. I cannot wait to continue to support the recall of the 4 board members that will be coming up. And I honestly can't wait to attend more of these board meetings as well.
Thank you.
I'm Jamie Nichols. You know where I live. I don't think we're related. Maybe we are. Last meeting, you guys all hedged that you were opposed to it. And I think that maybe the size of the crowd, the movement of the passion might have motivated you to hedge a little bit. Tonight you didn't hedge, you had to make a vote. And for those of you who voted in favor of it, you are disregarding 70-some people who have staked a great part of their net worth, their family, their livelihood in that neighborhood. And they live there. These are your neighbors. And you have set those concerns aside in favor of something that seems good because it seems to fit a 2030 plan. When you look at the compact residential designation, there just isn't a lot of room for any compact residential building in that whole space because it's already built out. So it just makes me wonder if the whole idea of making that area compact residential was a good idea in the first place because it already didn't fit. But the zoning that's changed, you can't deal with the question as though, is there a good reason not to do it? The zoning existed for so many years before that because that was a good plan. The question is not, is there a good reason not to do it? The question is there a good reason to do it? And when the reasons are so overwhelmingly in favor of not doing it from the people who live right there, overwhelmingly, and that the interest in parties who don't live there are the ones who are advocating for the change, to me it seems like just a slam dunk. And I'm super disappointed, just super disappointed in the way that you indicated you thought this was the wrong location before, and then have reversed yourself tonight, those of you who reversed yourself. I'm very disappointed in that, and it makes me question the integrity of what you said last time.
Thank you.
My name is John Brill, and I want to thank the commissioners for the vote. And I also want to say I grew up there. We've lived there since 1980. And I am also a neighbor. These are my neighbors. That's where I grew up. Sorry.
Please address the board, not the people right here.
I'm just going by what was talked about the whole time you're sitting.
John Dickman, Township President. I'm glad that Commissioner Sherwood addressed my comments directly, knowing that he grew up there. Rick indicated to me that that was quite a bit older than what might be thought, but that notwithstanding, if there's stuff there, it's there. If there's stuff not, it's not. Water over the dam, we go on with something else. Now, that being said, we sat here through another couple of emotional meetings, and right before the vote, I saw the wheels turning in some heads so hard that the smoke was coming out of your ears. And frankly, win, lose, or draw, if it meets, it meets. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And maybe I should say something to urban sprawl. When I grew up in this township, there wasn't anything there. Everything ended at Reynolds Avenue. Well, since then, it's gone all the way over to 26th Street, and it's headed north from there. Now there's houses coming in on G Avenue right around the corner. Now there's Redwood on the corner by the gas station. And I mean, you know, the sprawl happens. And there's not really a whole heck of a lot that any of us can do about it except try to regulate it the best we can. And that being said, all you guys can do is recommend it to the full township board for them to either approve or not. And frankly, I'm glad the bunch of you that's sitting there tonight is the bunch that's sitting there tonight, because Lord knows I don't have a thick enough skin to be up there and listen to people like me run their mouths. So once again, it was a difficult decision, but it was made according to the ordinances that are in place and have been in place. I can't say anything bad about it. I appreciate the job that you do. I appreciate everybody up there, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, Emily Murphy. I live on Woodley, and every morning I take my daughter to school and I pull out on Reynolds and I pull left on H Ave. It is hold your breath and just go when you think you can go, because it is really hard to see past trees this way. H Ave and 28th are a hill. You cannot see coming above that hill until you're right there. But if people are trying to turn left real quick onto 28th, like it's just dangerous. And adding more traffic there is a bad idea, but also to be told that we don't need an extensive traffic study, as like I live there and go through the dangers every day. When they fix the road, there's like that loose gravel that's on the road. You spin your tires, but you got a truck coming at you 55 miles an hour. Speed limit's 45, but people don't go 45. And so they come up over that hill. You have to go because you can't see where they are. You can't see what's coming down that way. And it's just, to add more people into that is crazy. But also, if you're coming up H Ave and 28th is on your right, as soon as you get up, you can't see. But say there's 5 people stopped because someone's pulling into the apartment complex. Like, you don't see them until you hit the back of them. Like, it just is. It's a really dangerous area, and it just having 2 entrances on 28th and on H, like, it's just too much. It's too many people. But also, if that's what you guys are going to go with, it needs to be like a real traffic study. Like, we need to really acknowledge the scary, dangerous parts that come with that intersection and those hills, and just the deer that pop out of nowhere. Like, it just is not a good area for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Leslie Johnson, Country Meadows Drive. I agree that Redwood is a nice development. Again, it's not the property for that. Sell your property to the Watts construction people and let them build single-family homes. We would welcome that. That'd be fine. 60 is 120
please don't
units.
talk to other
The
people
whole
in the
point would
community.
be, we want single-family homes. We like the Redwood thing. Put it in the commercial districts. That's where it's appropriate. It's 189 unit up on Gull Road. So be it. It's not in our neighborhood. We want people in our neighborhood that take pride in their ownership, not a corporation that's running this. And it's all about money. And maybe the compromise is, put this next Redwood development where your best site is. End of story.
Thank you.
Deborah Wright, Crestwood, which is the I-94 to Myers. I totally agree with Leslie in that this is not the place for Redwood. I'm not saying that Redwood can't be in Comstock. I went down East Main today. Have them go to the Sisters of St. Joseph, buy their property. That'd be an excellent place to put their development. Put it someplace else where it fits in with what's already there. Single-family housing has been in that neighborhood forever. You live in it. You lived in it. The people that buy a home, they put their entire life savings into their home. And if they're lucky, they can live in it the rest of their life and pass it on to their children. People that come into this community that they're proposing are going to come in and go and come in and go. They are never going to own it. They're not going to care what it looks like. If they don't like what it looks like, they have to complain to their landlord to have their landlord fix it. And if their landlord chooses to fix it, they will. And if they don't, they won't. And I just, let them find another piece of property. And as far as the Brills, I know that over the years, my husband and I tried to buy their property. They refused to sell it to us. They have been approached by many, many, many people in this community to purchase their property, and they didn't want to sell it, even though they had for sale signs on it for 40 years. So just please consider it. Would you want this, if this was your neighborhood, if this was your backyard, if your property butt up against that tree line that they're talking about preserving, do you want this in your backyard? Just consider it.
Thank you.
I just want to point something out that I kind of just thought about. I heard that this property was always intended to house a lot of people. If that was the case, why is it now being sold now and not been developed this whole time it's been owned by the property owner? Seems kind of awkward now. It seems like a buck being moved just for a buck being moved.
Thank you.
So I'm Chris Lomax, and I'm the daughter of the property owners, and I passed out in high school from a public speaking gig, but after hearing all this, I've never been to a meeting except for the last meeting about Redwood. I guess everybody here tonight, I commend the board for listening, for looking at the resubmitted proposal that Redwood did, and the facts that went into that, the consideration of everyone. I empathize with the neighbors who may be losing their view, as I stated in my letter that I sent, that apparently they didn't like, that I mentioned that the no trespassing signs have been taken down for over the last 25 years we've been putting them up. I did not name anybody, even though somebody went on Facebook saying I named them. I empathize that your view is going away, but Redwood is a beautiful neighborhood, and just because somebody doesn't want to own their own home does not make them any better or any worse than anybody else. And this is the wave of the future. Redwood, they have proven themselves over the last 30 years, and they still own each and every building that they've built. How many people can say that they still own their home after 30 years? Some people do stay a lifetime, some don't. They own every single one they've ever built. So I empathize with the view that's going away, that their field will be gone and their deer will be gone, but it's not your property to sell or to tell us who to sell it to. My mother is 84 years old and has been paying taxes on this for 40 years now. And I think she's entitled and allowed to sell it to whoever she wants. And to the other comment, there has not been any reasonable offers on this land. At one point, we had one businessman from Comstock. We had a sales agreement with him, and his financing fell through. There has been one sales agreement on this land. Just because you offer somebody $20 to buy their land doesn't mean we have to sell it to you. So if there's been offers, I don't know of them, except for this one that was reasonable, and it fell through because he couldn't get financing. And not that we owe anybody an explanation, because that's really nobody's business. So, thank you.
Thank you. Well, if there are no other comments, I will close public comment, and we will move on to the next item on the agenda. There hasn't been a zoning meeting, so.
Correct.
Do you want to speak to the township meeting?
Mm-hmm. Correct. There is no has been no ZBA meeting for the past 2 months, and not one this month either. There are 2 ZBA members, zoning board of appeals members, stepping down at the end of this month, December 31st. So we are looking for 2 applicants to take that role on. The application is available in person and also online. I'm just throwing that out there. The Township Board had a meeting December 1st, and at that meeting, they approved the first reading for both the chicken ordinance and accessory structure ordinance, and also the battery energy storage system ordinance. So all 3 have passed first reading, and they will be affirmed at second reading on Monday, the 15th.
Thank you. Training updates?
Yes, I emailed you all an email from our finance director, Brett Paget, regarding a cybersecurity, cyber threats training that will take place January 6th around noon or time TBD. Please let me know by tomorrow or Monday if you would like to attend. Again, you all got an email for that. Other than that, no training updates.
Thank you. Informational future action items.
Let's see. I would like to get with Chair Nichols to discuss more revisions for our ordinance. I know that we tackled chickens and structures, and we had quite the list of items to discuss and going into next year. So touch base on that. As far as next meeting, I have had no applications come through yet. So that's to be determined.
Okay, thank you. Planning Commission comments. James, you want to start us off?
I just want to say I want to thank the residents and the citizens of Comstock for coming out and talking about a lot of different things that have happened that we have been up on the Planning Commission. I have listened to you. I have took notes. I am the secretary of the Planning Commission, and we do have people to the right taking notes also. I've listened to you. I've heard you. But you have to understand, we're just sending a recommendation where we're sending it to the board for them to do because it falls in the criteria. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph?
No comment.
Greg?
No comment.
Bob?
Yeah, well, I had a lot of friends in the audience, but I don't know where that stands right now. But anyway, this is decisions that are hard to make, especially for me because I did grow up in that neighborhood. My mom and dad are still there. He's 94, she's 91. They're still in the same house they built on 26th Street in 1958. So I've seen everything. But this is just a recommendation to the board. If we would have turned this down tonight anyway, it would have still gone to the board for a vote because we don't make that decision. We listen to everybody. You know, this is heartfelt. It's really hard to do, but we do have bylaws that we have to follow. We have master plans that we have to follow. It's kind of tough sitting up here, and we get beat up here quite a bit, but you know, we're kind of used to it. But it's nothing personal with this. It'll get a site plan, if the board approves it, it'll get a site plan, it'll get a special use. The road commission will do their study, where they want the roads, how they want the traffic to flow. Do they gotta raise H Avenue to flatten it out more? They've done that to East Main years ago. We don't control any of that. The engineers, the road commission, and everybody else. The roads in this, the way it's laid out, aren't gonna impede in your neighborhoods, so they're not gonna be connected to your neighborhoods. They're not gonna come down whatever road they put in here and run it over into Country Meadow and then backward to Crestwood so they can get to Myers. They're gonna have to take a loop. So, but it's nothing personal from anybody on the board because this is tough decision, especially when you know so many people that are in the audience that you're probably not gonna have a beer with them right away. So that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Bob. Amber?
I agree, it's tough decisions and tough on both sides. And so I think a lot of work went in, and it's where I stood and where I landed is that the master plan is a guideline, certainly. It is not set in stone. We've been reminded of that often. However, in the past rezoning that we've made decisions on, it was pretty clear that the future land use map dictated recommended that zoning use, whereas this one is a deviation from what was recommended. And so I stuck with that. And that's where I came from with my vote. But regardless, a lot of work went in on both sides, and I just want to acknowledge that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very hard for us to make a decision. We, many times we'd like to do, yeah.
Wait till the next meeting?
Yeah, table it, go to the other item, but we have to go ahead and make a decision, and it's not always what you want to hear. And it's really not final anyway. The board's the one that makes the final decision. So Thank you all for coming. We do appreciate what you have to say, and we do listen. Go ahead, Bob.
And you can go to the township meetings when this comes up and voice your opinion there. So we know you will, but that is your law-abiding right, so.
Thanks, Bob. We are adjourned.
Right.